What is up, y'all? Nick here, coming live from inside my closet, and today we're going to be doing a definitive ranking of all of the My Hero endings. All the My Hero Academia endings. Last week we did all of the openings. This week we are going to do all of the endings. Now, as you can see here, we have all of the pictures that we're going to be using at the bottom here on tiermaker.com, which I learned how to use last week for last week's video. So I'm glad it's coming in handy. Last week when we did openings, I initially said that it was going to be based on the music itself. But we're not listening to the whole version of the songs, which I think is how they were intended to be listened to. So I think judging it just based on the music alone is a little unfair. So I want to bring in a couple of different factors for this list. Either the accompanying visuals, the tone of the open or the ending, how it affects the tone of the show at that current state, any symbolism that I see or hear, but mostly the music. So if it's a bop, it's going high in the ranking. If it is not a bop, or if it is a song that doesn't stand on its music alone, and all of the criteria that I just mentioned all takes part in this ranking. So without further ado, we have ending 1 from season 1 pulled up on YouTube here. It's the song Heroes by Brian the Sun. And bear in mind, this was the first official anime ending that I had ever listened to. A lot of the decisions that I'm making about these endings are gonna, nostalgia is gonna play a big part in this. So hopefully it doesn't upset anybody watching. And if it does upset you, then take it up with my personal assistant, who is me. And I don't know how to end this bit, so I'm just gonna play the song. So here we go. Heroes by Brian the Sun. Honestly, pretty symbolic of where Deku was at that point in the show. He was crying all the time, which is fine. It's fine, because I didn't have any reference for any other anime before that, except for like Digimon, Pokemon, all the shows that you would watch as a kid and you wouldn't realize that it was anime, right? So this being my first anime, I remember last week when we talked about the openings, the first season opening by Porno Graffiti, The Day, I had initially put in A tier and then moved it down to B tier after that, because I ended up, I ended up deciding that it was kind of middle of the road for me, like production-wise, arrangement-wise. I felt like it could have been better. A lot like the first season of this show, which didn't hook me. Oh my God. I'm sorry, pizza burps. That the first opening of the first season didn't hook me immediately, and I kind of powered through season 1 because I thought it was an interesting enough concept. But here we are at the ending, and I remember when I finished the first episode and this ending came on, I had a revelation not a revelation, but yeah, so I realized, over time that this is kind of a pattern. But in anime, typically, if it's a shonen anime, or if it's one where there's a lot of battles, or personal conflicts between people that are resolved by fights, the openings will usually try to sound more dramatic than the endings. The endings usually kind of just stick to being like indie rock songs or songs that are supposed to be cute or something like that. Whereas the opening, especially in this show, will use like strings and really complicated arrangements. And so when I heard this song for the first time, I thought, that's interesting. And it was the song that out of the two, the opening and the ending, I missed the ending the most. Like going to the next season and not realizing that we were going to get different opening songs and ending songs. So I ended up missing this ending a lot, because it has a vibe to it that is it's fun to reminisce on, especially if you watch this show like late at night, and you're binging All that being said, I reflect very nostalgically on this first OP because it's the song that I remember leaving an impact on me as the first season closed out, and it was the first time that I had finished an anime season. Plus, I really like the sound of it. I like how raw it sounds, a lot like how raw Deku is in a lot of ways in the first season, because he's using this power for the very first time, breaking his literal bones, and destroying his body, but also emotionally, he's a weepy, sappy, sad kid. And so after all of the crying that he does, obviously his eyes and his face are a little raw and sore. So I feel like in a bunch of different ways, this song represents the season that it accompanies very, very well. And it's also kind of a bop. It's a fun song to listen to. So I'm going to put this sucker in the A tier. And I honestly think it's going to stay in the A tier. Because we have, although we have a lot of different endings to go through, I think this one I feel very confident putting it in A tier. So, just to be clear, I don't know if can I write it? Oh, I can change this in real time. Okay. So I think this kind of rounds that this is a good tier list, everybody. I know this isn't Reddit, so you can't give me awards or anything, but like if you could give me a round of applause, I would really appreciate it. And I promise to make this a better stream if I do get a round of applause. So I'm kidding. I'm so humble it hurts. Moving on. So now that we've fleshed out the tier list levels a little bit, the tiers, we're gonna move on to ending number 2. So from season 2, part 1, the first ending of season 2. Now I know I'm taking Japanese on Duolingo. I don't want to be the guy that miffs the pronunciation of these titles so hard. Maybe that would make for good content. Here we have ending 2, Dakara Hitori Janai. Right? It's not bad. That's not bad at all. Look at the cherry blossoms. Okay, here we go. Cute. Very cute. So, this is something that I kind of said last stream when we were talking about Star Maker, the ending by Kanabun for like the sports or the school festival arc. This song, while very, very cute and very fun harmonically, like it's there's a lot of really cool vocal harmonies in there because I think there are multiple female singers on this song in this band. But I don't know. I don't know. This one definitely grew on me more and more as I watched more of the show. Yeah, so I definitely felt like moving from the first ending to this ending was kind of a downgrade, which it was my first experience in moving from song to song. Now with the opening, moving from The Day to Peace Sign, I was stoked. That was so hype. I love that song so much. That opening is so good. With the ending though, it kind of went in the other direction at first, and then as season 2 went on, I grew to love hearing the stacked harmonies come in. Like at the end of the episode, it's just ha ha ha. It was kind of fun. I liked it. However, I will say the same thing about the cute opening or cute openings for a show like this or cute endings. I don't know why you had to give it exclusively to the girls. Like why does the girl song have to be cute? Like they're badasses in their own right. They can get the they can get the strong songs, and like boys can get the cute songs too. And that was another trend that I sort of picked up on in anime is usually they'll save like the endings for like to highlight the female characters, especially if it's a show like this where they're like teenagers and it's kind of like it's kind of piggybacking off of the stereotype that like teenage girls in high school love cute stuff and blah blah blah. When I was a teenage boy in high school and I loved cute stuff. I all of the girls that I had crushes on were cute. So I don't I don't know what else to say. That didn't make any sense. I like this ending, but I will skip it if I'm binging this show. It is going into B tier, which is like right in the middle. I think that's a fair assessment. I think B tier is a good spot for people who like the ending or who like the song or who don't like the song. It's like a fair spot to put it right down the middle. We get more badass shots of the girls, or like, to put it another way, I prefer, like, if we have a cute ending or like an ending that's supposed to make you feel good or happy, I like when it includes the whole class. But I understand, focusing on the girls, because we finally get to learn about all of them in this season, like, extensively. You get to learn about, like, Yaoyorozu's insecurities, and you get to see Ashido fight in the last rounds of the sports festival. So I think seeing more of the girls in this part of the season is reflected pretty well in them getting their own ending. But alas, it's going to stay in B tier. Or it's going to be here for a little bit. So here we go. Moving on to ending 3. So season 2, part 2, second half of season 2. We have Date Atashi no Hiro. Here we're getting into some bops here. There we have it. Ending 3. Cool concept, putting all of the characters from modern Japan in ye old Renaissance. And so this ending made me go back and watch it a bunch of times. Or when it would come on, I wouldn't skip it, because I always wanted to see, like, closer what each person was dressed as and what all of the characters, or all the students in class 1A, what they all, like, looked like how I think Kaminari had one of those, like, pointy hats with the I don't know what to call it. I was born in 1995. I don't know anything about the Renaissance. I don't know anything about the Renaissance. I heard the Renaissance men are coming to town. It's a Smiling Friends reference for anyone who cares. But nonetheless, I love everything about this opening. Yeah, I love Lisa. I love the Renaissance concept. I love that we get to see, like, Bakugo and Deku working together for the first time ever, and seeing them kind of team up is a really cool. It's a really cool sight. It's something that as a fan you really appreciate, because in the show that is not even close to happening, where they're actively working together. Bakugo still hates Deku's guts. But yeah, I think based on the concept alone, this could go in A tier automatically. But because the song is also really well written and it has a lot of really cool, first of all, band hits, where the band just feels really together and they seem really coordinated. And when that happens, the big moments in the song stick out more, because you can tell the people that are playing the song know what's going on, and it doesn't feel like just manufactured rock or pop music. I think I'm putting ending 3 in S tier. I think I'm going to commit. I'm going to do it. I think the Renaissance ending goes in S tier. I don't think I ever really skipped this one. Just like the vocals coming in on ending 2, I love the way the guitar comes in on this one, and you see, like, the stage is kind of, like, lit up and set and everything. Yeah, I like this ending a lot. So we got our first S tier. We got our first S tier song, first S tier ending. Everyone pat yourself on the back for making it this far. If this is not the ending that you wanted to go in S tier, then keep watching. Maybe you'll be surprised. Moving on to ending 4. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to say right out the gate, this is the first opening or the first ending that I heard from this show that I actively disliked. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know what it is about this particular opening that makes me so upset. But I have a couple of guesses. I have a couple of theories. Number one, again, it's too cute for its own good. And I it's not that I have an aversion to cute songs or cute endings in anime or in general. But here's the thing. This arc, like the arc that this ending takes place during, is a very dark and serious part of the show. So for those of you who don't know, this ending takes place around the time where the League of Villains starts freely attacking the kids of UA, and then All Might and All for One have to fight to the death, and All Might loses his powers. Granted, it's a very cool part of the show. I love this arc of the show. I think it does a lot of really things. It does a lot of things really well. The action in this season is super climactic, and you feel like there's a finality to it. Like when All Might, when he hits All for One with United States of Smash, that blew my mind. That blew my little non-anime watching mind. Okay, I live in that country. I live in the United States of Smash every goddamn day. The US of S, brother. That's not who I am. That's not the kind of person I am. Anyway, yeah, so then you would end an episode where, Deku is fighting a villain who is threatening to kill a kid because that same villain killed his parents all these years ago. And then it just opens on the cutest fucking thing you've ever heard. By the way, I'm going to swear during this stream. So if anyone's got any kids, be sure to give them earmuffs or send them to bed, because this is adult time. We're talking about cartoons. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't like this ending. And even when I go and listen to the full version, I remember the first time I listened to the full version of this, it threw me off guard so much, because if you think this part, like this short version of the song feels like a sugar rush in itself, like enough of a sugar rush, the actual full version gets even wilder. It gets even more off the walls, where like, I don't know how to describe it, but like the horns get louder and like the instruments get busier and the arrangement gets busier. And it just kind of, I remember I was listening to all of the openings and all of the endings one time in a single playlist, and this came on, and I'd already been listening to a little bit. And I could listen to, anime openings and endings for like hours. Like I've done it before, not to brag or anything, but the second this song came on and I got halfway through it, I felt so fatigued. Like I felt like I had gone on a 5-mile sprint, and I collapsed to the ground, and my coach is blowing a whistle directly in my ear. Like that's how I felt listening to this song. I'm really railing into this song. I'm sorry. Like it's not terrible, but I'm just trying to come up with excuses to put it in the D tier. I'm putting this in D tier, okay? We got our first D tier, everybody. We have an S tier, and then immediately we go to a D tier. I'm sorry. I don't write the rules. All right? I just follow them blindly. And I also write them. I amended them, okay? I looked over them. Someone else wrote them, and I looked over them. It's a dumb bit. You got to stop, Nick. Okay, I'm going to stop. So here we go. We have a very even distribution of songs at this point. Will we have one that goes into C tier? Gotta stay tuned to find out. And this is the part of the stream where I would have a sponsor, and we would go into a commercial break. but I don't have a sponsor. So we're just gonna we're just gonna keep going. So ending 5, which is the second ending of season 3, Long Hope Philia. Here we go. Long Hope Philia. That song is a whole vibe. So the first fun fact that I have about this song, this isn't the actual version of the song. This is like an acoustic version that they recorded 1 minute and 40 seconds of specifically for this ending, which I think is so cool. Yeah, it is definitely a car song, Lenny. I think it would sound great like driving with the windows down and you got the wind blowing in your hair. It also kind of helps that Deku is running along a beach and wearing like a hoodie, and like that's honestly the best feeling. If y'all haven't ever been on a beach in the evening when the sun is setting and like you're wearing a hoodie and pants, it feels so nice, like just to be right on the water. Mwah. Don't tell my mom I did that. So, ending 5, Long Hope Philia. Yeah, I really like this song, and I love this version of it because I ended up hearing the actual version of the song during the credits of the first movie. And if you remember from my last stream, the first My Hero Academia movie was the reason I got into anime. This acoustic version of the song that is not the official version, which is heard in the credits of the movie, it's a very cool version, and because I like the original song but I like this version more, I think I'm gonna put this in A tier. I think I'm gonna put this in A tier because I feel pretty confident about S tier and A tier. Just like last week, anything that goes in S tier or A tier is something that I would play in the car. Like if someone was like, hey, let's play some My Hero endings, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm picking these 3 so far. And you know, the list could change by the time we get to the end of it because we still have a handful of opening or endings to get through. I keep wanting to say openings. I went in there. No, it's vacant. The the previous owner tragically passed away. So now no one's living in it. No one wants to live in a brain that's haunted. God, it's too late. It's too late for me to be streaming. I'm delirious. Next ending that we're going to get to is ending number 6. So this was the first ending that I got to watch in real time because I ended up binging seasons 1 through 3 to watch the movie, to be caught up with the show. And when I finished season 3, like Funimation was still dubbing it, and I was watching it in the dub. So when season 4 came out, I got to start that from the very beginning. And luckily there was a simul dub, so I got to watch it at the same time as everyone else. And so this ending is the very first ending that I was actively there for at the same time that everyone else was. So Kokai no Yuta. Kokai no Utah. This is the Airy ending. So here we go. Really quickly, I don't understand. I mean, I guess they're professional artists, but whenever you see in a show or a movie, like an animated show or movie, whenever you see a children's drawing or like a child's drawing that's like done in crayon and supposed to look bad, I don't know. I could just never wrap my head around that. Like, is that an adult going in with a crayon and like purposefully drawing something like a kid just to put in a sequence where a kid is drawing, you know? Really makes you wonder. Here's what I'm going to say. I thought I knew where this song was going when I was listening earlier today. I was listening to all of these. I thought I knew where this is going. I was going to put this in C tier. Only because two main reasons. First and foremost, the first time I heard this ending, I thought that key change was egregious. Like it was hard for me to settle comfortably into that new key that they bring the song into. Because the first key, and I really should have turned my piano on for this, or like brought my guitar or something. But yeah, the first key, like when it comes to key changes specifically, we kind of talked about this last week, but when it comes to key changes specifically, it's so tough to pull off a key change, especially in this short of time. Normally, when you hear a key change in music, it'll happen like towards the end, and it's usually done for like dramatic effects, right? Like instead of a solo section, we're just going to put a key change and we're going to repeat the chorus one more time. And the first time I heard this song, I didn't feel like we moved very comfortably into the new key, which you could argue is a symbolic thing, right? You could argue that that this this ending is supposed to represent Aerie being a baby, right? As babies do. They are babies. And then, mysteriously, her parents are killed. And she walks in on an empty pile of clothes. Or maybe not walks in on an empty pile of clothes. But you know what I mean. You saw the shot. And so the new key that we go into, I feel like that specific key change, and I don't have the vocabulary to describe exactly what happens musically. It's supposed to feel uncomfortable, right? Like it's supposed to put you in this spot. Symbolically, key changes can mean any number of things, but in this case, I feel like being uncomfortable is the point. And here's the thing. I was listening to the full version of this song earlier today, and I liked it because both of the pieces of the song separately, like both keys, they sound fine. They sound good. But I had two things that I wanted to bring up when referencing this song. First and foremost, I was reminded that this ending sounds a lot like another song, and that's the first Fire Force opening. And I want you to listen to both of these, and I want you to tell me if they don't sound even like a little bit similar. I heard this opening, and I was like, oh, so the Aerie ending is just the not as good version of this opening. And I like this opening, but that was a little while ago. Listening to it again today, though, I recognized the tuning of the snare drum, which is a very important part of drumming. I'm not a drummer by any means, but I do understand that if you don't correctly tune, depending on how you tune like a snare drum, it could totally affect the overall like mix of the song, the overall arrangement of the song. So if anyone is familiar with Saint Anger, the album by Metallica, you will know that the snare sound on this album is atrocious. It sounds so bad. I want to give you kind of a taste. Hear how it kind of has like it sounds like someone's bouncing a basketball, and it sounds like rubber, hitting like pavement. But I realized listening to this ending that this snare is mixed very similarly. I was just thinking of ways to put this song or this ending lower in the ranking. But you know what? Andres, I agree with you. It is better than C tier, but not by much. For me, this ending is low B tier. I will be more inclined to skip this one than to skip the second ending. But it's got Aerie, and it's got Deku, and it's got Mirio, just the two most pure boys in the entire show. We love them so much. And the first time, like I would see this ending, and I would see them like both smiling at Aerie, just trying to be the best heroes that they can be. And it always warmed my heart. So the Aerie ending is going to go in B tier. Let's move on to ending number 7. So this is the second ending of season 4. Try not to watch me struggle with this bag of Pocky for much longer. Just watch the... Oh, look, the ending's on.
Her body
Doesn't that just make you feel good? That song just makes you feel good. You know what doesn't make you feel good, though? Oh my God. I didn't notice this until a couple of times later. This whole sequence of the ending, which is kind of I would say it's a happy ending. It's kind of like it's got a melancholy feel to it. But we're looking back on photos of everyone in the show, or all of these older characters, like when they were younger. And we're reflecting on these photos, and it's supposed to be really nice and really sweet. And then we get to this sequence where everyone in Class 1A and 2 others are seen contemplating. They're sitting in bed. They're alone, and no one looks happy. Everyone looks sad. And I want us to pay special attention to what's going on down here in the bottom right corner, or near the bottom right corner. Who is that? That's Mirio, and he is, I'm assuming, waking up from what is probably either like a panic attack or he's crying profusely, which means a lot because at this point in the season, he's lost his quirk. Spoilers for My Hero Academia. Mirio doesn't have a quirk anymore. And his life's dream was to save 1 million people with his quirk, and now he can't do that. And so it's probably tearing him up inside. And I saw this for the first time. I realized who it was. It broke me. It made me so sad. Especially because this song is so catchy. It's so catchy, and it's so good. It's going in S tier. It is going in S tier, and here's why. On top of everything that I just mentioned, on top of the emotional impact of the imagery, on top of the emotional impact of, like what's going on in relation to the story, this song and this band is, like Lisa, very, very well put together, and you can tell that everyone has a part to play that's specific to them, and because of that, everything comes together for the chorus in such a satisfying way. Specifically, the way that the melody moves around the harmonic structure of the song. I feel like there was a Charles Cornell video that I was watching, and if you don't know who that is, look him up on YouTube. I guarantee you've seen him before, but he'll do like piano videos where he's playing along to a meme, but he's playing the sounds of the meme like in a key, That didn't make any sense. He takes the melody of the person talking in the video, in the meme, and he like transcribes it onto piano, and it's so good. As a musician, it's so fun to see. But he was talking about a song by Adele and about how the song that she was singing feels like the melody was guiding what was happening in the piano. Like it's very old fashioned. It's very like crooner, like Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald. Like the melody kind of indicates what chords to play. It's very jazzy. This opening does that to an extent. I would say better than any other song on this list. Because it feels like sometimes you hear a song and you hear the chords underneath it and it sounds like it's just going through the motions, like if someone takes a single note and they're singing it over like a chord progression that is in a key, like in one key. It's very easy to do that. Plenty of people do that. It's not to say that like that's the bad songwriting technique. It's just very simple, and sometimes that's the point. But this song, it has a melody that kind of swirls through, and then it just hits, and everything comes in, and it's this moment that is very. It feels, oh my God, what's the word I'm looking for? Cathartic. It's such a cathartic moment in the song And in the opening, because then we flash back to photos of people being happy, like in their life and in their past. I love this song so much. I love this ending. I love the visuals, and I love this show. I think it's time to move on, though. I think we have to go to the next one. The next ending is a song by the Peggies, and I forget. I think the Japanese translation is Footprints. I think that's what I saw on Spotify, maybe, when I was listening to this earlier. Here we go. The first ending of season 5. I like this ending a lot. I love the Peggies. The first time I heard this ending, it hit me. Like I was like, because I had heard the Peggies before, and this season came out at a time where I was already regularly listening to, like, and branching out and listening to, songs in Japanese that aren't from anime, or at least like I didn't know they were at the time. And I was getting more comfortable with listening to, music in another language. Cause I will say, growing up and listening to, and like watching media that was like mostly in English, I feel like, if you're used to a certain language, it's definitely an adjustment to change into a like an art form in a completely different language. And for me, like it took a while for me to get used to listening to music in Japanese, and even longer to get used to listening to dialogue in Japanese. Like when I started watching anime subbed, it took me a little bit to get used to it. But yeah, so I had started becoming more comfortable with just listening to Japanese artists and like C-rock, like Chinese artists, and so I was kind of familiar with the catalog of other bands that I had heard, like from anime openings, and the Peggies was, they were one of those bands that I had, like, they have was it Heaven Like Hell is an album that they have. I listened to that. I love that. Their newest album that they came out with, I listened to. I would say I'm a fan. I like them. And when the song came on for the first time in season 5, I freaked out. I was like, no way, it's the Peggies. I know them. And I was so excited that they were doing an anime, like a song for My Hero, finally. I feel like because it's the Peggies, I'm a little biased. With that being said, I feel like this ending kind of ties into the lighthearted nature of this season. So like last week when we were talking about the openings, the openings and endings of My Hero kind of, the seasons they go back and forth between like serious hero stuff and lighthearted school stuff, because they're still teenagers. They're still in high school. So you got to have a breather every once in a while. And this season kind of felt like it was almost all breather. And this ending definitely kind of contributes to that. Because the whole part, can I say it? Sound off in the comment section below if you think I could say the word I'm thinking of saying. The point of this ending, I feel like, is to, push this lighthearted tone for the show, because they're throwing a party for someone. They're throwing a birthday party. They're getting ingredients. They're going to the store. Everyone's happy. Everyone's smiley. So it kind of leans into that part of the show really, really heavily. And I love the Peggies, and I like this song. But the same way that Star Maker kind of only represents one part of the show, and so it tiered a little bit lower, I'm going to put the Peggies in A tier, because I would absolutely put this song on in the car. So now, here we are. We are left with one ending, and we're just going to get into it. We're going to watch through this last anime ending. We're going to talk about this anime ending, this My Hero ending, and we're going to rank it, and then we're going to look at our tier list, move some stuff around. It's going to be great. Put the final touches on before we send this off into the internet onto tiermaker.com. and it haunts me forever. Because again, I don't make the rules. I can't go back and change the lists once they're already out. So we got to make sure we put them in the right spot. So here we go. Second ending of season 5. Y'all, I mean, you saw me just now. I was jamming the hell out. This is really tough. Because I feel like we have a lot of endings in the high tiers. Which isn't a problem. It's okay to have a lot of good things. I'm going to do it. I'm putting this ending in S tier. And I would be lying if I said it wasn't mostly the music that wants me to put it into S tier. Because realistically, there's not a whole lot going on in the ending. We kind of get a couple of scraps of information as far as, you know, what people are feeling and everything like that. But, you know, look at the 3 in A tier, right? At least the first 2. The first ending is just Deku running and then looking through his notebook and him as a kid. And then the ending, what is that? 4, 5? Yeah, the other ending where he's running, right? Like, there's not a whole lot happening there. So if I judged these endings based on how much was happening in them, I would have to put this lower. But I'm going to put it in S tier. This song just goes so hard. I am in love with the way this song is put together. And fun fact, this song also has a key change in it, very much like the Airy song. But the way that they transition from one key to another is, in my opinion, a lot cleaner. We get to hear the common chord that both keys have in common. I guess that was kind of redundant, but that's one way to change keys. So, you know, another way that we kind of talked about earlier is you take a song and you move it into a different key for the sake of, you know, finality or like pushing the song. You just play the same section but in a different key. Usually it's like a whole step up, or it's something, it's an interval where like the singer doesn't have to push harder to like get up into that range. And then there's another major way to do a key change, and that's using a pivot chord. And what a pivot chord does is, say you have 2 distinct keys, like you have, you know, C major and, oh God, I don't know, like G major, right? C and G. They have a chord in common. I'm sure they have a couple of chords in common. But C, the 6th scale degree of the C major scale is A, and its chord is A minor. The 2nd scale degree of G major is also an A minor. So in a song, if you're writing a key in C and you hit an A minor, you could feasibly use that chord and, you know, whatever leading tones and other notes that you can use to trick the audience's ear into thinking that we're moving smoothly. Like, obviously, you know, G has, 2 sharps? I think. I have not done music theory in a very long time. But yeah, 2 of those notes in the scale are going to be sharp. So like, as an arranger, as someone writing the song, you have to think, okay, this chord will help get us from one key to another, but like, what can the singer do, or what can these other instruments do to lead us to that key in a way that feels very natural? And this song has a fantastic transition. It has the pivot chord, and if I was better at piano, or if I was less obnoxious as a singer, I would play this and it would sound it would make a little bit more sense. But I knew I wanted to talk about that on stream because there's a part of me that desperately wants people to believe that I know what I'm talking about. But also, there's a part of me that knows that I should know what I'm talking about, right? And so it's a confidence thing. I think this song's use of the pivot chord to transition from one key to another feels very seamless and interesting musically, whereas in other songs, in this case, the Airy song, I don't feel like it's as clear what key we're about to move to. But there you have it, folks. My definitive tier list of all of the My Hero endings. 2/3 of the endings I think of positively, but what can I say? I would play all of these in the car. Like if someone was like, "Hey, play some My Hero stuff," I'm playing all of these. Maybe it's because I like the show a lot. Maybe I'm too much of a fanboy. I wanted to pull up the openings tier list and have it side by side with the endings tier list just to kind of compare and see what they had in common, what we had in common. So, funny enough, Long Hopefully we take the opening for season 3, part 2. And also, the Peggies and Dish, both of their openings and endings are together. Look at that. We have patterns, but literally only in the A tier. So who's to say what that means? I think it's just kind of cool that we have some sort of connection. Thank you for coming along with me on this journey, exploring all of the music for My Hero Academia, my personal favorite anime of all time, baby's first anime. Thanks for sticking around this long if you have. And if you like what you saw today, if you like hanging out with me, if you like talking anime, eating pizza, or if you just like music, be sure to follow me. And I plan on doing a lot more of this kind of stuff. I don't know what show I'm going to do next. So if anyone has any suggestions, feel free to let me know. Send me a DM or follow me on one of my social medias and send me a DM. Instagram, I'm Nick_Scarpinato. Facebook, Nick Scarpinato. YouTube, same thing. And you'll see a lot more content that kind of lines up with what I'm doing here. And so today was a good day. And these are good tier lists. I stand by them. I think I'm going to drink the rest of this royal milk tea, not sponsored, and eat the rest of, half the bag of Pocky, not sponsored. But you can if you want to. I am going to go to the bathroom, and I am going to prank call my high school principal and tell him that his refrigerator is running and it kidnapped his microwave. They are planning a massive Bonnie and Clyde fiery death, running away from the authorities. So you're going to want to catch it. Yeah, you're going to want to catch it. All right, everybody. Stay safe. Love you all. See you in the next one.